Hi, Jon Kuzma here from EndZoneBlog.com, and welcome to a special wildcard edition of Step Your Game Up. First things first, let's talk about the Tennessee Titans and their 18-point comeback that they mounted against the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs started out this game red hot, getting out to 21-3 lead, and that's when Marcus Mariota and the Tennessee Titans came storming back. Mariota threw for 205 yards, two touchdowns, and one interception. It was a pretty good showing for him, especially since he really struggled during the regular season. Um, I guess all that doesn't matter now when you're in the postseason. Everybody's 0-0, and now, fortunately for the Tennessee Titans, they're 1-0. The Chiefs really fell apart when Travis Kelce got knocked out of the game with a concussion. Um, Everything really started to unravel from there, and Andy Reid couldn't make the necessary adjustments to bounce back and lead his team to victory. Which brings us to the next point on our ticker. I want to talk about Derrick Henry. I talked about Marcus Mariota out the gate in the first topic we had, but truthfully, Derrick Henry was the biggest star for the Tennessee Titans in this win. Henry goes for 156 yards and one touchdown. He's an elite ball carrier, and at 6'3", 238 pounds, this guy is just too big for NFL defenders. A lot of people thought that maybe he wouldn't be able to do this, like as far as a physicality standpoint goes against NFL competition. We know now that he can rumble against anybody he plays against, and it's just because he has such a big frame and he overpowers defenders. This guy's just a punishing runner, and as long as he continues to play like this, Tennessee really has a chance to continue to build this momentum and take it on to the divisional round and then the conference and maybe a Super Bowl. I don't know if they're ready to win a Super Bowl yet, just because I don't know if they have the playmakers on the outsides to really create enough plays. But Derrick Henry sure is a force, and this guy's going to be an elite player in this league for a very long time. And one other thing, the fact that he did this in a playoff game is huge for his legacy, and people are going to really start buying into what this guy's selling. Expect to see a lot more Derrick Henry jerseys in the stadium next time you're at an NFL football game. Uh, Moving on to the next point on the ticker, I want to talk about no Kareem Hunt. When Travis Kelce went down, there's no way that Andy Reid should have relied on Kareem Hunt. Andy Reid didn't do that. He barely fed Hunt the ball at all, and that's really a letdown considering this guy led the NFL in rushing yards. He's been a sensation all year. He's the rookie who has that the Chiefs captured lightning in a bottle with. So you figure Reid would have went to his main running back in a time of need, and unfortunately Andy Reid didn't do that. Hunt had 42 yards and one touchdown. He only had 11 rushing attempts the whole game. So really, that has to fall on this coaching staff. They need to feed this guy. They need to get him 20, 25 carries a game. They didn't do that, and what a coincidence they lose a game that they should have won. They were the better seeded team in this one. You know, it's just another Andy Reid letdown. This guy's a great coach. I recently wrote an article about the top five head coaches on the planet. I had Andy Reid at number five, but you almost have to wonder if he's trending downward after another early playoff exit. There seems to be a pattern there with that. Whether it's one thing or another. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter calling for his head, and I don't think Andy Reid should be fired yet, but it's starting to seriously become a concern that he constantly underachieves in the postseason. Um, Moving forward, let's talk about the Atlanta Falcons defense. The Atlanta Falcons were the night game against the Los Angeles Rams. If I had to pick both games that would are both games like a winner, I would have picked the Los Angeles Rams, and I would have picked the Kansas City Chiefs. So I would have went 0-2 today, but that's what makes this league so great. Now, back to the Falcons and Rams games. Los Angeles has the number one offense in the whole league for the regular season. They scored more points than anybody. Um, and the Atlanta Falcons come into this game and they completely shut the Rams down. Sean McVay is a great X and O's guy, but The Falcons defense, led by Deion Jones, who's just been spectacular the last couple of years. Um, they only allowed Los Angeles to score 13 points. So when you go from the highest scoring offense in the league um, to only scoring 13 points in a wild card matchup, that's a huge step back, and really you have to tip your hat to the Atlanta Falcons. We knew that this offseason that Atlanta got better on the defensive front by adding Poe and by drafting Tack McKinley, but it really all came to you know like a head against the Los Angeles Rams. Um, there was 3 sacks on Jared Goff by the Atlanta defense. Like I said, Deion Jones has just been flat out everywhere the last 2 years. Keanu Neal, that's the other guy who, since he's been here, Atlanta's really took the next step defensively. And those guys are both, I think, 2 year players, or second year players, should say. So ever since Jones and Neal have been in the mix, Atlanta has just been smacking people on defense, and they've been going to the Super Bowl, going to the playoffs, and now this team has a lot of momentum. They're trending upward at the right time, and don't be surprised if this team knocks off a few more teams and shakes things up a little bit in the NFC. Uh, the other guy who had a sack for Atlanta was Devondre Campbell. So that pass rush and that front four, they're very dynamic. They can change the outcome of games, and they put a lot of pressure on Jared Goff in this matchup. That's what you need to win late season football games. Um, let's move on to Matt Ryan and company. The next thing we got in the ticker, Matt Ryan and the offense, they did their job. They could have been a little bit more explosive in this game. You'd like to see them score more than 26 points, but a win's a win. So Matt Ryan throws for 218 yards and 1 touchdown. Devontae Freeman rushes for 66 yards and 1 touchdown. I don't know if you guys watched the game. At one point, Freeman completely trucked the corner, kept rumbling, and I think he laid a good hit on another defender downfield. I would like to see Devontae Freeman get more touches in the game just because he's such a force. And the Falcons have to be willing to trust that ground game. They have Tevin Coleman back there too, so they have 2 really good running backs that they can lean on. And once again, late in this game, they were throwing the ball again when they could have just ran it like last year. Like in the Super Bowl, if they would have just ran the ball, they would have won that Super Bowl against the Patriots. They can't get too trigger happy where they're passing the ball so much and they forget that running the ball is the key to closing out games, especially when you have a lead. Let's play fundamental football, Atlanta, and let's trust that running game to control the clock, control time of possession, and keep the opposing offense off the field. Therefore, you can cut down on scoring significantly. Um, Julio Jones had 94 yards and 1 touchdown, so it was a good day for him. You'd like to see him get that extra 6 yards and go over the 100-yard receiving mark, but it was a good day for Julio. 94 yards is still a pretty solid output. So Ryan, Freeman, and Jones did their job, and that's why Atlanta's moving on. The next topic, the Rams collapse. Like I said, the Rams had the highest scoring offense. They get held to 13 points. Here's the crazy thing about this. Their offensive playmakers actually had a pretty good game. Goff had 259 yards, 1 touchdown, and no interceptions. Gurley had over 100 yards. He had 101 rushing yards. Robert Woods had 142 yards. That's a huge day for him. Everybody talked about, Sammy Watkins when he came to town. Robert Woods also came from Buffalo as a free agent, and he's actually been better than Sammy Watkins this year. So it's crazy that, Watkins is the main guy in Buffalo. Robert Woods is a role player. We get to Los Angeles with Goff. Now Robert Woods is the main guy. Sammy Watkins is the role player. And, it was a big day for Los Angeles offense. They just couldn't find the red zone, the end zone, excuse me. So you got to be able to punch it in when you're down there in the red zone. You got to get into pay dirt and put 6 points on the board. You can't settle for field goals. And unfortunately, the Rams couldn't get it done. Atlanta, give credit to Atlanta's defense. Those 3 sacks, Deion Jones, Keon Neal in the secondary. Alford is back there too for Atlanta. Those guys put the clamps on Goff. They put the clamps on Gurley. Um, and none of those guys could punch it in when it mattered. One thing that was happening for the Rams is Aaron Donald was absolutely whipping the Atlanta Falcons offensive line, but all of those factors couldn't translate into a win. And now, Sean McVay, possibly the MVP in Todd Gurley, the great come up story in Jared Goff, all that goes out the window now because this team flops in the wild card. Yeah, they have a bright future, but you want to see this team take the next step now. And when the pressure was on, when that stage was set and the limelight was on them, they ultimately come up short. And that was hard to see coming. I did not think Atlanta had what it, had what it takes to knock them off and persevere. They just had a couple wins to get into the playoffs. And that was such a pressure cooker moment for the Falcons themselves. So to come in here and get another huge win, suddenly these guys are walking around with the confidence. And the Falcons, keep an eye on them moving forward because they have the tools to turn around and make another deep run. I think a lot of people counted this football team out because it didn't seem like they were the team they were last year, but now suddenly they are starting to hit that next level, and that makes them a serious threat moving forward. Thanks for tuning in tonight. I think you guys are going to love the games tomorrow. This is what the NFL season is all about. It's been a lot of fun to cover this year, and get ready for another big day of hard-hitting football. Check out endzonblog.com for more updates too. I'm Jon Kuzma, your host, signing off.